Hello and a very warm welcome to Brussels for the fourth meeting of this topsy-turvy Diamond League season. We're in the Belgian capital, home to the European Parliament, famous of course for its Grand Place, its beer, mussels and fries. And there'll be plenty of muscle on show for this, the 44th Memorial Van Damme here at the King Baudouin Stadium. Once again, no spectators due to COVID-19, but thanks to some ingenious technology, there'll be plenty of atmosphere and support for the athletes. Decent conditions, 20 degrees, overcast, but thankfully dry. And this, a proud old stadium that's produced 16 world records over the years. And we could have not one, not two, but three more this evening. Chris Dennis alongside me, Tim Hutchins with you for the next couple of hours. And Tim, well, a possible world record in the women's 1 hour race.
Yes, this was a little while ago. The ladies lined up at 11 minutes past 7 local time there, 11 minutes past 6 in the UK. There were 12 starters, but it included some very high caliber athletes. Ciarono in particular, Eva Ciarono, Commonwealth Games finalist and a good cross-country runner too. Salpetta, fabulous marathon runner, a 2:17 marathon runner. The former Kenyan represents Israel now. She could break the European record today. Kosgei, well, she's the world record holder, is Bridget Kosgei, for the marathon. Smashed it last October in Chicago, the world record of Paula Radcliffe that has stood for so many years. And Sifan Hassan, uniquely world champion last year in Doha at 1,500 metres and 10,000 metres. She too going for records. Well, let me just put the picture for you. The world record set back in 2008, 12 years ago, just over 12 years ago, by Der Tune of Ethiopia in Ostrava. That was 18,517 metres, so 18.5 kilometres. And the target here is to go quicker than the 70 seconds per lap needed to break that. Indeed, the belief is that that record is pretty vulnerable, that record of Der Tune's, and that these ladies can go maybe a minute faster, or I should say, a lap or two faster than Tune did all those years ago. Pacemakers are out there as well. Chalangat, Sheila Chalangat, the 22-year-old, is a bronze medalist in the World Under-18 Championships a couple of years back, over 3,000 metres, so plenty of ability. But of course, in a race of this nature, 1 hour duration, getting the right rhythm is absolutely critical.
It's all about pace, isn't it? And it requires a different mindset, Tim, as well. Of course, these athletes are always chasing the clock, and on this occasion, there's no need to worry about the clock. We know that it's going to be 60 minutes. We see them here just going through halfway. It's all about the distance, and that requires a different mindset. And then you can see confirmation, 9.259 metres after 30 minutes. Well inside the world record. Yes, the pace set up wonderfully by Sheila Chalangat. Did a very good job. The athletes, of course, having to run in spikes, the road racing shoes that are the popular choice for these long races on the track, are no longer permitted by the World Athletics, the global governing body. And here we are in live with 45 minutes on the clock, 74-second laps being churned out now by these two athletes who have broken away. Sifan Hassan in second place. There she is with the headband and the black and white top, and her arms tucked up very tightly against her chest. And in the orange there, just stumbling on the curb, is Bridget Kosgei, the 26-year-old Kenyan, who has run the world record of 2:14.04 for the full marathon distance in October last year in Chicago. It was an astonishing performance, breaking the world record of Paula Radcliffe by over a minute. But here she is in what we believe is her first ever track race. Absolutely bizarre. Incredible, Tim, isn't it? And also, as a result of that, wearing very different shoes, we should say, on the track in Brussels here to the ones she wore on the roads of Chicago. Just stepping on the infield there momentarily. But yeah, Bridget Kosgei, we couldn't find a single record of her having run competitively on the track. Well, that little stumble there on the infield could be a little sneak, like a door open just a couple of millimetres into some fatigue creeping into the legs of Bridget Kosgei. Sifan Hassan, remember the world champion at 10,000 metres, who had an incredible season last year in 2019. The former Ethiopian runs for Holland these days, the Netherlands, to the left of picture there, broke the European record last summer for 1,500 metres, 3,000 metres and 5,000 metres before storming to those world titles over 1,500 metres and 10,000 metres. Now that is a unique spread of ability. Never before in the history of track and field athletics has the same athlete, certainly in the modern era, won a 1,500 metres title and then a 10,000 metres title. The 10,000, remember, 25 laps of the track. So Hassan is a formidable opponent. I thought Salpeter there might last with them a little bit longer, Chris.
Yes, she was the third athlete that was mentioned in the press conference as a potential threat to the other two, but actually it's been anything but. And interesting to see the contrast in styles there with Hassan with the very almost awkward raised arms, the raised arm carriage. Very different style to Kosgei, and Hassan just growing into this as they enter the last 5 minutes of this race.
Well, they're lapping consistently now at around 74, 75 seconds per lap. So earlier on, when we were watching the early feed of this race, we had a virtual world record runner in shot. It was the figure of Diratune running alongside them, but it was computerized, and she very quickly got dropped by this lead pack as they pushed further and further ahead into new territory to set what is undoubtedly going to be a new world record for the 1 hour run on the track. It is a fairly rarely run event, but there's no doubt at all that we are watching a world record unfold.
Yeah, the first of a potential three this evening. We've got Mo Farah going in the men's equivalent as the last event of the evening here in Brussels, and in between we've got the 1,000 metres as well for women, with Faith Kipyegon trying to do what she narrowly failed to do in Monaco just a few weeks ago.
Well, there are, of course, Kenyans and Ethiopians aplenty on the world scene, but Sifan Hassan could be here setting a world record, which would be also a European record should she win this one and defeat Brigitte Kosgei. But Kosgei is a formidable opponent. Enormous strength in that slender upper body to the left of picture, and she goes past Hassan there and almost accelerates. I think there was a noticeable surge there from Brigitte Kosgei. She knows she can't leave it to the last few minutes because of Hassan's great track speed. As a great track racer, she's run well under 2 minutes for 800 metres. Time for 1,500 metres puts her on the quickest ever. She ran 3:51 when she set that European record in Doha last year. So Kosgei there in the lead in orange knows full well that Hassan has a leg speed that she is never ever going to be able to match. And I know this is a 1 hour run and they're both running now on tired legs. They've been moving for 57 minutes. We're coming to the latter stages, but certainly Brigitte Kosgei has got to try and squeeze as much of that speed out of the legs of Hassan as she can.
Completely agree. 45 laps completed. This is a mental game as well as a physical one. Just the mentality of going round and round and round at an even tempo, but they've got quicker and quicker since the pacemaker dropped out. Just to mark your card, when we hit 59 minutes, i.e. with a minute to go, there'll be a gun, and then it's lights out for the final 60 seconds as we count down to the full hour.
Well, the 2 kilometres up to 14k took 6:21. The 2 kilometres up to 16k took 6 minutes 21. It is metronomic running from these athletes, and they've gone through 18 kilometres, I can tell you, in 57:17. It is fabulously quick running, this. And we will extrapolate for you what the half marathon time would have been had they kept going.
Into the final 2 minutes, this is going to start really hurting. And I just wonder, Tim, picking up on your point, has Kosgei left it too late? Should she have really tried to get more of an advantage with so little time on the clock? Approaching 90 seconds left, and Hassan is still there.
Well, interesting that the last 2 kilometres up to 18 kilometres took 6:34 by my reckoning, and that means it signifies a slowing with Kosgei at the front there. She's trying to generate more speed and work hard. A 79-second lap there, look. They've been lapping for, the last 15 minutes or so at around 74, 75 second per lap, so she is certainly slowing. And I think Hassan there is definitely, as we're into almost the last minute, Hassan is just sitting there waiting for the kick to come into effect and to win this one.
So we wait the gun. There it is, the gun signals 60 seconds to go, 60 seconds to eke out as many metres as they can and eat into that world record by as much as they can. They've smashed it to smithereens. It's a question now of by how much.
Well, they passed 18 kilometres at 57.17. They've got well over 2.5 minutes of hard running to come after that. They can cover, well, around 2 laps and more. So certainly they're going to break the world record by a big margin here. But look at Bridget Kosgei battling to stay with Sifan Hassan, who keeps checking over her shoulder. She hasn't got this one yet. Sifan Hassan is really being made to work for this one by the world record holder in the marathon. Brilliant running from the Kenyan, Bridget Kosgei. But Sifan Hassan, with 20 seconds though, keeps on surging and eventually finds gap. The daylight is there. Critically, psychologically, the gap is there. The elastic band, so to speak, is broken, and Sifan Hassan surges away. Just seconds to go. Now watch the clock, bottom right of picture. Charma will be measured at 60 minutes exactly there, and she has won it, and she has broken the world record. The distance will be confirmed, we understand, within the first 60 or 90 seconds of that 1 hour mark coming up. But what an effort from Sifan Hassan. Some degree of inevitability about that surge over the last minute or so from her. But Bridget Kosgei, didn't she battle? She really made the Dutch athlete work for that win and the world record.
Well, terrific. What a way to start here in Brussels. We have a world record, 1 down, a possible 2 more to go. And that is absolutely fantastic. And I think Bridget Kosgei, for many people, has exceeded expectations there. She pushed Hassan so hard for so long. And what an exciting final 60 seconds that was. With the drama of the gun signalling that it's lights out for the last minute. And we knew the world record was safe. It had gone long ago, almost from the initial gun, actually. They were ahead of world record pace, thanks to the wave-like technology, which we'll bring you again later on for the Mo Farah race. But no wonder she's smiling. Sifan Hassan bags another world record, just waiting for final confirmation, as Tim was saying, of the exact final distance. It's going to be measured by the final footprint at the time the gun went, and it just takes literally a minute or two to get that ratified and then pass through to us.
Do you know what's she going to do to the marathon distance when she turns to it? That might be a few years away just yet. Hassan, remember, just 27 years old, but she doesn't look overly extended, does she? Very impressive indeed. When you think that 3 weeks ago tonight she had to drop out of a 5,000 metres in Monaco down on the Riviera. I spoke to her agent this afternoon. He said she doesn't really know why she stepped off the track. There wasn't any significant injury. She said it was just that sort of mental block, and she stepped off the track, couldn't participate in it anymore, but has put in 3 weeks. Very good work since. Maybe we can hear from her now.
Very happy, and actually, when I was start, I was a little bit. I didn't feel good, and the first 30 minutes was so happy. But after the 30 minutes, I feel every single minute is very easy, and I'm so happy. It's very strong race. The marathon record world race here. And yeah, thank you. I'm so happy.
18 kilometers, 900. That's an incredible distance.
It's really, yeah, that's really fantastic. I never thought I'm gonna run so far. I'm very happy.
Thank you very much, and enjoy your world record.
Thank you so much. You guys organized this in very difficult time. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, it's official. The world record distance, 18,930 metres, so very nearly 19 kilometres. She's run over 400 metres further than the previous world record of Diretune. 413 metres, in fact. Just over a lap quicker. She would have lapped Diretune with that run. Astonishing from Sifan Hassan, and they have all worked hard for that one. World record is confirmed on our results system here. And this is the moment when she kicked away past the flagging Bridget Kosgei, who was even then able to raise her game. Such was the competitive instinct in the legs of the little Kenyan, who is contesting, of course, the London Marathon Elite Race on the 4th of October, almost exactly a month today, but had to settle for second on this occasion. Not a bad preparation that, though, for a marathon in a month's time.
Well, terrific from Sifan Hassan. It seems a long time since she was stepping off the track in Monaco, but she went back to training, had a good block of 3 weeks training. Their confirmation of the world record distance, not time, distance, remember, 18.93 kilometers, adding 413 meters to the previous record, to the previous mark held by Diretune of Ethiopia.
Well, there's plenty of action coming up. There's a men's pole vault competition and a women's high jump competition as well tonight. Middle distance action with Jakob Ingebrigtsen in a 1500 metres against Britain's Charlie de Val-Grice. A good women's 400 metres, a fabulous men's 200, a women's 1000 with a chance of world record coming up in that. And then the evening will conclude with that men's 1 hour race, world record attempt going in that one as well.
Yeah, the place buzzing as well. Mondo Duplantis, of course, fresh from a terrific success in Lausanne. What a pole vault competition that was. 2 hours and 40 minutes of absolute magic. If you're watching, and if you haven't yet seen it, make sure you catch up. And Mondo hot-footing it from Lausanne over to Brussels to try and maybe jump even further. 6:07, remember, in Lausanne, the second highest vault outdoors of all time, only behind Sergei Bubka. But he, of course, is already the world record holder himself, Mondo Duplantis. So let's just dip into the early stages then of this men's pole vault competition. This is Van der Pletsen, the multi-eventer from Belgium. And a nice early sighter over at 5 metres 40.
Yes, not his specialist discipline, of course, Van der Pletsen, the European decathlon champion from Amsterdam 4 years ago. Some of the athletes that have concluded that 1 hour run will be interested to watch the other end of the speed range, the women's 100 metres now.
Yes, a matter of 11 seconds rather than 60 minutes. And this event has been arranged all around the rising star of Belgian sprinting, Rani Rosius from Belgium. There is Angela Tenorio, who goes in lane 3 from Ecuador. Carol Zaï from France, born in Ivory Coast, the reigning Mediterranean Games champion. And there she is, being touted as the new Kim Gevaert, second fastest equal in Belgian history, 11:39 she ran a few weeks ago. She goes in lane 5. Irina Siragusa from Italy goes in 6. Cynthia Bolingo, Belgian, in lane 7, second in those championships behind Rosurius, and in lane 8 Mathilde Kramer from Denmark, the Danish champion. But Rosius, very exciting talent, has a background in gymnastics, came to the sport of track and field quite late, but 11:39 puts her second on the all-time Belgian list. There she is in lane 5, and she'll have Carol Zaï just to her left in lane 4. So Fontana, Italy, in 2, Tenorio, Ecuador, in 3, Zaï from France goes in 4, Rosius, look out for her, centre of picture, in 5, Siragusa, Italy, 6, Bolingo, Belgium, in 7, Mathilde Kramer, the Danish champion, goes in lane 8. Women's 100 metres. Away they go. Good start from Zaï in lane 3, but here comes Rosurius. Rosius coming through nicely in the centre here. Rosius continuing a brilliant form, dips for the line, 11:41, just outside that lifetime best by only a couple of hundredths, but it's another winning performance there from Rosius. The organisers took a bit of a punt here, organising this event around her. She said she was so flattered to be compared to and talked in the same breath as the great Kim Gevaert. They had a lovely interview a couple of days ago. Kim Gevaert still very much involved in this meeting, of course, does all the part of the communication, the press conferences. But Rani Rosius there is quite a talent, and she's backed up a brilliant last few weeks. It's been actually rounded up, so 11:43, not quite as impressive as we thought. Zaï in second place. That is quite a scalp on Tim, what is her Diamond League debut, but a name to look out for.
She absolutely is, isn't she? Just 20. She contested the Belgian Championships on this track just under 3 weeks ago, on the 15th, 16th August, and she lifted the title then, and that is good running on, well, a nice evening for running. It's 20 degrees centigrade, we understand, very little wind, but not perfect conditions. She can certainly go faster. She puts clear daylight between herself there and the pack, so to speak. Zaï, 11:56, Siragusa, 11:57, Kramer, 11:58. Really tight for second, third and fourth. Nice form, though, too.
Very powerful runner. Gevaert more of a flyer in her day. Still the Belgian record holder at 11:04. But Rosius, only 20, plenty of time to improve. And so often is the case with people who come to the sport late, is He's making quite an impact. 11:43 the winning time. Quite a margin from Zai in second, Zaragoza in third.
Well, here's that form again from the side on camera. She didn't really get away from the others over the first half, but her power and holding her form well through the second half. Most sprinters tend to hit top speed and then start decelerating around 70 metres. She held her form well, and it was over that second half of the race through 60, 70, 80 metres that she pulled away. That's really encouraging, because with another 2 or 3 years training, she is only a youngster, remember, only just out of the junior ranks. This young lady can go a great deal quicker. Well, the men's 1500 metres, the next event on the track. 12 athletes out there. The women's high jump field being introduced to the few in this stadium, but to us in particular at the same time.
Yeah, Katarina Johnson-Thompson, the standout name in the high jump field. She's also running in the 100 metres hurdles earlier this evening. Shame for the organisers that Nafi Thiam, who was billed as the really the centrepiece of this event, had to pull out with an Achilles injury, which is slightly worrying, I think, with Olympics less than 12 months away. So what was to be a triathlon has now become a high jump and a 100 metres hurdles event for these multi-eventers.
Well, let's get back to this 1500 metres. As I said, 12 starters, really high caliber field, with Jakob Ingebrigtsen going here fresh from that European record, the 19-year-old. Quentin Tisson in France, a 24-year-old. There was a 3:38 performer at his best, 3:39 this year. But there is the man so many will be interested to watch. He was second in Monaco to Timothy Cheruiyot in a new European record 3 weeks ago, 3:28.68, lopping Mo Farah, ironically, who we're going to see in an hour and a half or so's time, in an hour's time, from the top of the European all-time rankings. And then he was second in Stockholm just last week in 3:30.74, again to Timothy Cheruiyot. By the way, young Jakob Ingebrigtsen, we believe this could well be his last race as a teenager. He lifted European titles in 2018 at the age of 17. Astonishing talent. But he's 20 in a couple of weeks' time. Well, away they go, and the pace we're looking for here will be quick. It will be demanding, there's no doubt about that. We're looking for 150 to 151 at 800 metres. Maybe Ingebrigtsen fancying himself here without the presence of Timothy Cheruiyot to improve his European record. First pacemaker, Mounir Akbash of France. And he has gone off pretty hard. He's a 3:39 performer, the 38-year-old. Maybe a little bit too quick. And then Evans Kipchumba and Collins Kipruto will also help out with the pacemaking. You can see Jakob Ingebrigtsen there in fourth place. And those are pretty big gaps after 300 metres. They have gone through quickly there. The pacemaker perhaps a little bit too hasty through this first lap.
Well, they were asking for 55.30. I'll just see what it comes up at as they hit 400 metres. It is quick, it's too quick. And you remember, Tim, you were there in Monaco a few weeks ago when we had that ridiculously erratic pacemaking that night. It was a lot more settled in Stockholm a couple of weeks after that, and this is somewhere in between.
Yeah, and it's far from ideal for Jakob Ingebrigtsen, because he's back there in fourth place. He's not isolated, but he's not exactly breathing down the neck of anybody, is he? And you can see the pacemakers out in front, pushing on with the gap between the lead pacemaker, Akbash, and Jakob Ingebrigtsen, probably about 10 or 12 metres. It's just too big to really be of any great assistance. Charlie de Valgrice of Great Britain also goes in this field, as does Jesus Gomez of Spain. He's broached new ground recently with 3:33 in Monaco a couple of weeks back, 3 weeks back. That was a strong run from him. But as the pacemaker drops out, they come round the top bend, and that 53.56 is not ideal for the likes of Jakob Ingebrigtsen, although he's beginning to close up now on that second pacemaker. I think that's Evans Kipchumba who steps aside, and Kipruto now in the lead.
151, bang on the money actually after 800 metres, and as you said, Timothy Cheruiyot not here as the rabbit really for Jakob Ingebrigtsen, so he has the field to himself really. He's head and shoulders above everybody else in the field. Jesus Gomez, who's having a fine season, but still some way off, and Jakob Ingebrigtsen in Monaco and Stockholm really had him for breakfast.
The only thing is that Ingebrigtsen had Cheruiyot to chase and battle against on the last lap of his last two races in Monaco and Stockholm. Here, he's on his own. Goes through the bell, though, in 2:34.5, there or thereabouts. He needs to run a sub-55.5 second lap here to break 3:30. He's perfectly capable of that. His talent is extraordinary. It puts into the shade the likes of the greats of years gone by, world record holders at age groups like Steve Cram and Steve Ovett, who was an astonishing young athlete from the age of 15 onwards. This young man has more talent coming out of every pore than most countries can pull together in total. He goes through with 200 meters to go, opening up a big gap there, but nobody to battle against, and that can be a crucial difference. Psychologically here, he really is only battling against himself. He hasn't got Timothy Cheruiyot or anybody else to chase. You can see the lights there he's chasing. That maybe is the 3:30 pace he's trying to get to, those green wave lights, which is a fabulous new addition to the technology of track and field athletics at the bigger meetings. But Ingebrigtsen comes home to a comfortable victory as expected, just outside 3:30, 3:30.70. Frankly, it was almost an exhibition run over the last couple of laps from the young Norwegian. He wins very comfortably indeed from Gomez. 3:30.7 to Gomez's 3:34.7. I don't think too often we've seen a 3:30 performance produced with a exactly 4-second winning margin.
Well, that's astonishing from Jakob Ingebrigtsen, almost to the 100th of a second, the identical time of Stockholm a few weeks ago. So that is terrific consistency. And of course, before that, the European record behind Timothy Cheruiyot in Monaco. So 3 brilliant races there from Jakob Ingebrigtsen, and if this is the way he's going to sign off his teenage years, that is quite a way to go. He's in fine fettle, and it all bodes well, of course, for 2021, when we hope, fingers crossed and toes and everything else, that we'll be in Tokyo watching this young man at the Olympic Games.
Well, here he is in glorious isolation down the home straight. Never really looks like he's sprinting in classical style, but it has enormous speed endurance. That's what he produces, this young man. He doesn't seem to push out to fabulous speeds, doesn't reach great tempo on the last lap of his major races, but he just has this knack of generating and winding up the pace in an irresistible way. He's run 4:50 for 2,000. He's got enormous strength. Good 5,000 meter runner as well with 13:02. And frankly, when you go out hard, run hard all the way, what you can do down the home straight often doesn't really matter. Well, the 100-meter hurdles for ladies took place earlier on, and this is how Chris called it.
Well, lane 2, Chloe Bocarn, a late replacement for Ivona Dadic, who sadly not here in Brussels this weekend. Shurna Bakker from the Netherlands, 30 years old now, second in the Dutch National Championships last month. And Zagreb, also 30 years old, the Belgian champion, the season's best of 13:11 goes in 4. Katarina Johnson-Thompson, world heptathlon champion, of course, from Doha last year, says that Brussels is the highlight of her year this year. Mette Gravesgaard from Denmark, the Danish champion in 6. Sarah Messina from Belgium, who was second in those Belgian championships in 7. And representing Slovenia, Joni Tomajic, 3 second places in 2020. Well, away they go, and a slightly sluggish start there from Katarina Johnson-Thompson. Gravesgaard is going well, but also is Zagreb. Zagreb and Gravesgaard running away with this, and Zagreb just edging it as they come to the final barrier. Zagreb gets it there into a slight headwind, 13:21, just outside her season's best. Started comfortably enough, and Katarina Johnson-Thompson, you have to say, was really denied any better placing by the sluggish start. Gravesgaard, who's been in sparkling form as well, pushed Zagreb hard all the way. But in the last 10 metres, it was the Belgian Zagreb who came away to get a very useful victory there. Katarina Johnson-Thompson just coming up down in 4th place. The season's best, though, with 13:57. Zagreb, though, with the victory in 13:21.
Well, they're running into a very slight headwind there. They certainly didn't get any help from a tailwind. It was minus 0.2. Now we can go over to the pole vault. First attempt at 5:40 meters. Oh, that's a nice clearance. Looks very comfortable indeed. And Armando Duplantis, by the way, passing at this height. He's indicated he will come in at the next height, 5 metres 50.
Chris Nielsen then under a bit of pressure here. 5:40, last attempt here for the American, who's having a fine season. First trip to Europe. Yes, he's made it. Clutch jump for Chris Nielsen, and he needed that. Something of the Jim Carrey about him for me, Tim.
There is a little bit, yes. That earlier vault we saw was Broders of Belgium going clear first time at 5:40. These are modest heights for the really big names, but important to get in the groove. Now, Johnson Thompson at 1 metre 80. Well, her season's best is only 184. Maybe lacking motivation this year. The World Heptathlon champion, she was in supreme form in Doha last year. That's better and goes well clear. She is very much a world-class performer in the high jump. She's a 198 performer, is KJT, as she's known. Goes out with Andy Potty, the world-class British hurdler, and this is her best discipline of the 7 in the heptathlon. There's no doubt about it.
Chris Nielsen then having come through at the third attempt at 5:40. The bar now at 5:50. Really enjoying himself. Teammate, of course, of Sam Kendricks, who was in action as well in Lausanne earlier in the week. It's a little bit ungainly, but the bar stays up. And gave it a little more than a tickle, really, on the way down, just with the top of the thigh.
Well, we go back to the track now for the women's 400 metres. 8 athletes out there. And the sky is darkening above the Belgian capital. So weird to see this glorious King Baudouin Stadium more or less empty. It's normally rocking because the organisers of the Van Damme Memorial meeting do such a wonderful job of promoting it. That was Margot van Huyvelde of Belgium, 24-year-old. She's a 52.2 athlete at her best. Inside her was Alice Magnone of Italy, then Pauline Kaukait of Belgium, 52.98, her season's best. Iga Baumgart-Witan of Poland, 31-year-old, very useful performer, 51.02, her lifetime best. Camille Laus of Belgium, 52.5 performer this season. Then Horvat, Anita Horvat of Slovenia, 51.22 back in 2018. 53 in her most recent race. Saw there Wyszkiewicz-Zawadzka of Poland in lane 2, and there on the inside, Amandine Brossier of France. Brossier recently ran a useful 200. She won in 23.87 in Les Sables. But that tight inside lane won't be her favourite, that's for sure. There in lane 3, Anita Horvat of Slovenia. Recently on Čerkes-Ferhavar ran 53.8, but only 7th in that race. Camille Laus goes in lane 4. Fresh from winning the Belgian National Championships in this track nearly 3 weeks ago in 53.3. This will be a competitive race rather than super fast. Well, 400 metres is a cerebral distance. You need to gauge your effort throughout the 4 100-metre segments and get it absolutely right. It's easy to look brilliant for 300 metres and then collapse into a sea of lactic acid down the home straight. These athletes need to judge this one well. The 4 to the right of picture there in lanes 1, 2, 3, 4 in perfect echelon, but going best perhaps of all of them. Out in lane 5 is Iga Baumgart-Witan of Poland. Former Polish Sports Personality of the Year is Baumgart-Witan. She's looking strong at the moment, the tallest in the field, and working hard off this second bend to come into the straight with a lead of, what, 2 or 3 metres. Good running in lane 3 from Horvat of Slovenia in the bright green, as Baumgart-Witan stays in the lead in lane 5, holding her form. Gradually the gap is closing behind her, and a real battle royal for second place, but the pole takes it. It was indeed Horvat who took second place to Slovenia in lane 3, and I think third went to the pole as well. Wyszkiewicz-Zawadzka in lane 2. The winning time 52.14 by Baumgart-Witan, and that, can you believe, to the 100th of a second, if confirmed, equals her season's best. She did something similar back on the 29th of August. Something similar, identical in Włocławek. 52.13. It's a season's best by one precious 100th of a second. Good run.
Yeah, very good run. Poland with such pedigree in this event. Justine Sventi-Ertasic, of course, who's the European champion, her compatriot. But good to see her grinding out a season's best. Horvat finished very smartly again from lane 3. Coco, the Belgian, made a good start. Ran a first 200 quite nicely, but then faded, rather. Here we are again, tall, upright, elegant, and it was just a question as they came into the final home straight whether she could maintain her form from lane 5. Really tall athlete, very elegant, and they're just the start of the signs of the lactic kicking in with everybody else, but she'd got enough in the tank and in the bag already to make it a comfortable victory.
Well, I said it would be a fiercely competitive race. Apart from the Pole, Baumgart-Vitan, they're winning in 52.13 by, well, 0.57 of a second, over half a second. Second, third, fourth and fifth were very tight indeed, covered by 15/100th of a second. Second place going to Horvat, and then the teammate of Baumgart-Vitan, the winner, Wyszkiewicz-Zawadzka, taking third place. Confirmation of that win, a comfortable one, and a season's best for the Pole Baumgart-Vitan. Athletes, I think, at this stage of the year, this bizarre year, this season in athletics, just delighted to get out and race, Chris. You know, the fact there's no crowd there, I don't think they care. The fact is they're able to display their skills and get some racing done.
Talking of displaying skills, well, Mondo Duplantis entering the competition at 5:50. It's small change for a man of his ability, and here is an early sighter for Mondo Duplantis, who's on fire and jumping at 6 meters for fun. Just to remind you, 6:07 he jumped in Lausanne, the second highest outdoors of all time. Sergei Bubka, remember, 1994, back in Sestriere.
Well, here's Thomas van der Pleitsen in a bit of trouble, I'm afraid, at 5 meters 50. Cleared 5:25 first time, 5:40 first time. This is his third height, 5:50, and this is it. Oh, that was so close. It is the most frustrating of disciplines. You can get it 99% right, but I'm afraid it's either top marks or nothing, and that ended up in nothing. And that's his third and final vault at 5:50. Out he goes, van der Pleitsen. It is just one of his 10 disciplines. So, of course, of little real significance in the grand scheme of things. But for this man, perhaps, this is more significant. Chris, the Olympic champion, having a third attempt at 5:50.
Yes. Enjoying an extra year, of course, as Olympic champion because of events of 2020. No for Thiago Braz, who was also in Lausanne in that wonderful pole vault competition that took centre stage down in the city centre. He vaulted 5:72 the other evening.
That's the weird thing, he vaulted so well in Lausanne in this women's high jump. Zaka there, just going clear to 184. Gives it a little tickle, doesn't she? But cleared 180 first time and 184 first time as well. Doesn't like it though.
Claire Orcel from Belgium. First attempt at 184. 22 years old. Yes, that's nice. Nice and tidy. Belgian indoor champion. Reached the final, actually, in Doha last autumn, coming up for a year ago. Goodness me, how the world has changed since then. But nice and compact and aggressive on takeoff. So she moves on, takes an early lead here. Katarina Johnson-Thompson then, having failed with her first attempt at 184, which is exactly the height she registered in Monaco. She admitted after that she's not in the best of shapes generally. That's better. And as we mentioned earlier on, very, very difficult to maintain those heady heights from last year, having had such an intoxicating 2019. It really is, with no real meaningful competition in 2020. It's very hard to maintain those levels of performance and motivation, but she's over safely at 184.
and that equals a season's best. So more to come, hopefully, from Johnson Thompson.
Next event on the track, the men's 200 metres, which is a special place in the heart of Brussels, and this stadium in particular. The second fastest time of all time was run here in 2011. Johan Blake, who could forget that, 9 years ago. The famous Brussels bend. Richard Kilty goes in lane 7, 31 years old now, former world indoor champion at 60 metres. Look out for Esiosa De Salu from Italy, from lane 6, 2013, his lifetime best. Jonathan Borlée, part of the most famous athletics family in Belgium, twin of Kevin. He's in 5. Jan Volko from Slovakia, the European indoor 60-metre champion, goes in 4. Then Musa in 3, the Danish champion. There is Yuri Polak, the newly crowned Czech champion, and a late entrant here from Ireland, Marcus Lawler, the Irish national champion, first rate outside of Ireland this season. But a year ago, almost to the day, Noah Lyles was scorching to victory here to complete a Diamond League 100-200 double. Who will prevail here today? De Salu from Italy goes in 6, third left of picture. And just to his outside, in 7, Richard Kilty from Great Britain. British Championships, of course, taking place in Manchester over the weekend. There is Borlée. Men's 200 metres. Away they go. Good aggressive start there from Jonathan Borlée. Also going well is Richard Kilty, stepping up a distance, but look out for De Salu coming through on the inside. Also going nicely is Borlée, but it's De Salu, the 26-year-old from Italy, who's doing really well from lane 6 and striding away. 20:39, the winning time, just outside his season's best. A slightest of tailwinds behind him. It's a still evening here in good conditions, 20 degrees this evening, and that was a nicely structured and constructed run there from the Italian from lane 6, coming through ahead of Jonathan Borlée.
Yes, De Salu, though, winning by a country mile in sprint terms. It is fascinating watching Richard Kilty, isn't he? Former world indoor champion at 60 metres, and he looks great for 60 or 80 metres around the bend. He started so well in that white vest out in lane 7. You can see him there second to left now, but begins to run out of steam and into the straight. This is where the 200-metre runner's strength really comes to tell. And De Salu there, the Italian, what a talent he is. 20.39, putting a lot of daylight. That's 3 metres between himself and the rest. Good running in lane 4 from Volko for second place. But there's no doubting that De Salu, well, almost a mismatch there. Look at that winning margin, over 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, comprehensive victory there for De Salu, so it went to form. Volko in second place, Polak and Richard Kilty there fading really in the last 50 to 60 metres, down in 6th.
Trying to stay relaxed there, De Salu, so hard not to tighten up in those last 20 or 30 metres. He was working hard for that one, not taking any prisoners. Now back to the pole vault. Broders, first attempt at 560. Passed at 550, having cleared 540 first time. And that's another nice vault from the Belgian. Well, you would normally say home advantage, but with no spectators at all in the stadium, I'm not sure it really makes that much difference. Here's a 576 vaulter from last year, and this year has cleared 573, so he's been in close to personal best form. Indeed, that 573 was his second place in Stockholm last week.
Nielsen then, with his second effort here at 560. Needed 3 to get over 540. That's better. That's a lot tidier from Chris Nielsen, who's a student in South Dakota. 6'5", so great height. And the other night we were talking, weren't we, about the range of different builds and sizes and statures of the pole vaulters. Some come quite compact, like Bruno Lavinini.
Well, we return to the track for another world record attempt, and this one has a reasonable chance of success because the Olympic champion, Faith Kipyegon, the Olympic 1500 metres champion, goes here over this 2.5 lap distance. She is a formidable competitor, the 26-year-old, very consistent. She has the second fastest time in history thanks to that win in Monaco just under 3 weeks ago. In fact, 3 weeks ago tonight, when she ran 2:29.15. Now, Svetlana Mastakova, the Russian, set the world record, which is under severe threat, I would suggest, over these next couple of minutes. Back in 1996 in Brussels, in this stadium, 2:28.98. The rest of the field there as we work our way across Chepkarui, Mercy Chepkarui, world under-18 silver medalist at the steeplechase a couple of years back. Fancy Chirono on the inside there, African junior champion again at the steeplechase last year. But this should be very much about Faith Kipyegon and her ability to push on hard here behind the pacemaker Noli Yarigo, who hopes to go to 600 in 1:28, which would suggest around 1:58 at 800, and that is world record pace. So away they go, right on the outside to the left of picture, the diminutive figure of Kenya's Olympic champion Faith Kipyegon. Only the one race so far this year, that was that spectacular win in Monaco where she blasted past Laura Muir of Great Britain on the final lap to win by, well, about 1.5 seconds she took out of Laura Muir in the latter stages, and that is quite some achievement. It certainly indicates there's more to come from Kipyegon, who slots in there in second place behind Noli Yarigo Benin, who will go to 600 metres, but she's got to judge this right as Yarigo. She mustn't lead Kipyegon on a merry dance over this first lap. When you're going for a world record over a short distance like this, fractions of a second matter.
Yes, they do, approaching 400 metres. Let's see how accurate this pacemaking is by Yarigo. 59.31 they went through in Monaco. 58.94, that's not bad, just outside the required pace. And it's all about pacing, you're absolutely right. Go too hard and it'll come back to bite you in the final 200 metres.
I would say that is just about perfect. Good running from Yarigo over that first 400 metres. She moves aside now to let Faith Kipyegon come through. She's a good cross-country runner as well as Kipyegon. She's got plenty of strength. Eases down the straight here and comes through the bell in 1:28.9. I got it. 60.6. That's that lap to that point to the bell. That's a little bit slower than she would have wanted. She's going to have to work hard here. World records don't come easy. But she pushes on hard now with 300 metres trying into the back straight. You can see the acceleration has gone in all on her own. Big gap behind her as she drives on, does Faith Kipyegon. 2:29.15 in Monaco. But the world record is just inside 2 minutes 30 seconds. Look at that, 1:59.19 at 800 metres, almost identical to her split in Monaco 3 weeks back tonight. As she comes around the final bend and into the home straight, it's going to take a lot of hard running down the home straight here. Can she hold her form? Punching hard with the arms is Faith Kipyegon now. 60 metres to go. Watch the clock. The meeting record, 2:28.98, is the world record. It's going to be mighty close here, but I think she's just going to miss it. She does indeed. Yes, that's a third 200-metre segment, I think, maybe was just the damaging factor. A little bit too slow. That middle 400 metres after the first 200 was well outside 60, and you just can't afford a lapse in tempo like that. She gave herself too much to do over the final 300 or 400 metres. She'll be frustrated, very frustrated with that, I suspect.
Well, she was frustrated in Monaco because she admitted afterwards she hadn't realised how close she was in Monaco those 3 weeks ago. She went back to Kenya, got in some really good speed training, sharpened her speed, was in great form, really confident. But I think you're right, Tim, it was that middle 400 metres. The pacing on the first lap was absolutely spot on from Yarigo. It just let it slip in that middle section, and it's just further proof of how delicate a balance it is to get the pacing right in this distance of 1,000 metres. You've got to commit to 800 pace, but not too much. And there, in the end, actually it was not enough in that middle section.
No, and when you think too, rather like Ingebrigtsen, she's all on her own here. Athletes do run better, they run faster when they've got somebody to compete against. That's why This is it's so important. It's what differentiates track races from field events where you are competing in isolation and the competition is a psychological issue. Well, here it's a psychological issue as well, but it is a mighty helpful when you've got somebody right alongside you. Took a year out of the sport shortly after the Olympic Games in Rio to become a mother, but took the world title in 2017 and then that motherhood year out. She's back to her very best, and I think she'll be tough to beat next year in Tokyo. I don't think many people would bet against her retaining that Olympic title.
Women's high jump, bar at 188. Nicola McDermott, the Commonwealth Games bronze medalist. Yes, that's nice and tidy. So clean card for McDermott. 184 first time, now 188. First time clearance for the Australian. Lovely bounce on takeoff. Set a personal best of 198 earlier this year in Germany.
Erica Kinsey then. Kinsey. No trouble at the earlier heights. 180, 184. There goes 188. Second attempt is good. She's very much a world-class performer, is Kinsey. On her day, she's up there with the best, a lifetime best of 1.97 m, has already cleared 195 this year. And the Swede, who's world number 5 this season, looking good there with that second time clearance at 188.
Skog then from Sweden. Her third attempt at 188. Oh yes, that's well. That's really good. A clutch jump for Skog, the 30-year-old. And she is still alive and kicking and moves on to the next height. Swedish number 2 made the Olympic final in Rio back in 2016.
Third and final attempt for Stecchi of Italy then, Claudia Michel Stecchi. We came in at 550. Rather a later joining point, you could argue. Gets that one. Gets that one, and he's relieved. Looks up at it as if to say, please don't drop. But he's okay. Once you hit the deck there, I think you're okay. And Stecchi, whose season's best is only 552, really pushing the limits a little bit tonight, coming in at 550. Well, 560 goes by for him. It's a season's best. There's a familiar face, Chris.
Yes, where have you been? Mo Farah, goodness me. 4-time Olympic champion, 6-time world champion, and his good friend and training partner, Bashir Abdi, will be the highlights. They're the main focus of this last event on the track of the evening. But it's not a quick event. It's going to take an hour, folks, so stick with us. But it could be real drama. We started off with a world record in the women's event. Could we follow it up with the same in the men's? I would suggest a rather taller order to achieve, because Haile Gebrselassie current world record for the hour has stood since 2007. It's a formidable one, 21.285 kilometers, and it's all going to be down to pacing again, as we saw with the women's race. And Mo Farah in particular looking to become only the 12th man to officially have held this 1-hour record. It's not an event that's run particularly often. It's a grueling event, and once again it's all about getting the pacing right. And in simple terms, how far can you run in 60 minutes around a track?
And the challenge of this event is unique, Chris, isn't it? Because track races are usually over a specific distance. Here we have them running against the clock, covering as much ground as possible. They don't know where their finish line is going to be.
Mo Farah has been training long and hard with Abdi, his good friend up in the Pyrenees at Font-Romeu. A familiar training ground for him. He's been there since the end of July. And I've never seen, well, very rarely heard him sound so enthusiastic. He has clearly missed the track. He's absolutely chomping at the bit to get on with this race. It's his first race on the track for 3 years. There is Bashir Abdi, his good friend, who is going for the Belgian record as a bare minimum. The European record, I would suggest, is within grasp for both these runners, but it's the world record that they both want. 3 pacemakers, and again we've got this wonderful technology, the Wavelight laser system. It's like a digital rabbit, if you like, on the on the infield. So the 1 hour race, the final event of the evening here on the track here in Brussels. Mo Farah has never won a world record outdoors in his illustrious career. Is that about to change in the next 60 minutes? And away they go. Let's give you some numbers. Bear with us, folks, because it can sound sometimes like a maths class, but the pace they're looking for, the pace they're going out for, is quite a formidable one. 67 seconds per lap. That's around 2:47 per kilometre. And I can tell you that Haile Gebrselassie, when he set the current world record, was averaging 68 seconds a lap. He completed 52.5 laps. Let's just say that again. 52.5 laps, round and round and round again, and an extraordinary tempo completed within 60 minutes. And that's the challenge for these runners, led by Mo Farah and Bashir Abdi. And if they can average, Tim, that improved pace of 67 seconds per lap, they could add about 200 metres, i.e. half a lap, to the world record.
Well, you can see there the computerised image of Haile Gebrselassie. I'm not sure that was really Haile's form, but that's him there with the world record insignia just below it. That is the pace of Haile that we will see, certainly for the first chunk of this race. I'm not sure it'll be there for the latter stages. It is a very tough record to break. I mean, Haile set 27 world records. When he set that one all those years ago, it was his 24th world record. But yes, 67.65 actually was the exact average pace of Haile per lap when he set the existing world record of 21,285 metres, 21.285 kilometres, just 13 miles, 387 yards. So he went through the half marathon in what, about 59:40, something like that. Certainly Mo Farah can go quicker than that, but it's not easy. On a track, the psychology is very different. Abdi is on record there in the red shorts and white vest as having said in his press conference yesterday that he much prefers running on the roads in straighter lines. He's not used to, he doesn't really like running round and round and round, lap after lap, whereas Mo Farah has said he absolutely loves it. I think I read he said the other day he ran a 20-mile run on the inside of the track, just on the grass inside a track a year or two back, and he said it wasn't an issue at all.
Well, a little bit of historical context for you. As we said, this is not an event that's run very often. The first runner believed to have run the 1 hour mark, seriously, was a butcher by the name of Edward Preston in 1690-something, hailed from Leeds in the north of England. But the first official world record was one Alfred Shrub in 1904. And since then, listen to the names who've held the world record. The likes of Paavo Nurmi, the flying Finn, Emil Zatopek, possibly the greatest 10,000 metre distance runner of all time. Ron Clark, Gaston Roelants, famous in these parts in Belgium, still holds the Belgian record. And then, well, a man we know very well, Tim, Jos Hermans, who improved on it in the mid-70s. And listen to this, as a forerunner of the wave-like technology that you can see on the infield there, the laser, the green laser, Jos Hermans always ahead of his time. He spaced some police lights every 200 metres on the track, and he timed them to flash every 34 seconds. So he knew that if he was passing a police cone as it flashed, he was on world record pace, and that was in the mid-70s.
Yeah, there's a few people who run away from the police at a similar sort of tempo, and I think they use a similar system, don't they?
I couldn't possibly comment, officer.
You're part of London like that, is it? Anyway, Mo Farah there with the red armbands, easy to pick out, isn't he? And his training partner, Bashir Abdi, also easy to spot in those red shorts. So Mo Farah, who has since July the 20th been training up at Font-Romeu in the Pyrenees. So he's been up there for what, some 5 or 6 weeks with Bashir Abdi alongside him for nearly all the time. Very, very confident, was so gushy at yesterday's press conference. He came out with several great quotes. He said the reason he's back to the track and looking to defend his Olympic 10,000 metre title next year in Tokyo is because he really misses the track. He moved onto the road back in 2017, had some reasonable successes, got the British record, has run 2:05 for the marathon, winning Chicago a couple of years ago, but I think he's seen the marathon distance and the very best guys now move to a level that maybe he just feels is beyond him, to be perfectly honest. You know, when you've got Eliud Kipchoge running 2:01, you've got 2 or 3 other guys running 2:02, 2:03, and then a pack running 2:04. Mo Farah knows that he's probably not got as much chance of winning major championship marathons as he has track races. So at the age of 37, he says he really hankers after track racing. He's missed it enormously this last couple of years, and was really bubbling, bouncing and happy to be back on the track tonight, albeit, ironically, over a full 1 hour run.
Well, just over 5 minutes into this 1 hour race, so very, very early stages. There you can see Mo Farah left of picture at the back of that group, single file, and the green light, remember, is Haile Gebrselassie world record pace. The white lines you can see there, the white lasers, are for the pacemakers. That's the pace that they need to try and maintain in order to beat the world record by the margin that they've set themselves. So we'll keep you up to date with that. Mo Farah keeping out of trouble. It's almost like old times, isn't it, seeing Mo Farah at the back, and then Bashir Abdi in the white and red in the middle of that group. There is Mo Farah now in centre of picture, looking very, very supreme indeed.
Well, Broders then, first attempt at 5:70. He's looked very good so far as the Belgian. No failures to this point, and still no failures for Broders. 5:70, made to look very, very comfortable. He's enjoying himself out there. When you think this young man has a personal best of 5:76 from last year, season's best of 5:73. He's operating up at his established limits, but looking comfortable.
Mondo Duplantis then, very much the man of the moment. First attempt at 5:70, clean card, of course, and that's meat and drink to Mondo Duplantis, who is having a wonderful season. He's really taken this event to quite literally new heights. And what came through, again, we keep referring to Lausanne, but it was such an exceptional evening. It was the only event, the only show in town on Tuesday.
Well, back to this 1 hour record attempt. 6 3/4 minutes on the clock. Haile Gebrselassie maintaining his position alongside Mo Farah, funnily enough. And while there's been talk of Mo being able to push on and maybe break this record by a reasonable margin, I think it'll be a tougher nut to crack than people are giving it credit.
I think so, although interestingly, Haile Gebrselassie himself from Addis this week was asked for his thoughts on this race this evening, and he said, I think in all seriousness, he said, I think it's a very achievable thing for Mo Farah, and he thinks he'll do it. He thinks it's, he didn't quite use the word soft, but he did think it was there for the taking. We shall see. I think that's maybe playing a little bit of mind games there from Haile. I think we shouldn't underestimate how difficult this is. Remember, Haile was in his prime, wasn't he, when he was running in 2007? And interestingly, of those 27 world records you mentioned that he accumulated throughout his career, all but 2 of them have gone now, and the only 2 remaining could be snatched from him this very evening, the 20k and the 1 hour mark. He could end up completely empty-handed, poor old Haile.
That's sad, because Haile has been my great hero for 20 years and more. I remember commentating on him in the 1992 World Junior Championships in Seoul, where he lifted double gold at 5,000 and 10,000, and has gone on to set all those astonishing world records. And it will be the end of an era to some degree. I know he's retired, and you could argue that's the end of an era, but when his world records are all ex-world records, then you know you are very much entering a different age. And is this the man to do the damage tonight and put the final nail, if you like, in the coffin, to coin a phrase of Haile Gebrselassie? Mo Farah, he never ceases to surprise, Mo Farah. You know, with those gold medals in championship after championship after championship, he managed to battle through despite the odds and come up with the goods. He's got an incredibly strong will.
He has indeed. His mental strength, I think we talk about mental aptitude in sport on a regular basis, but I think when it comes to mental strength, Mo Farah is right up there, because this is all about what goes in between the ears as well as in the legs. Approaching 10 minutes through 3,000 meters, and they are on world record pace.
Well, Katrina Johnson-Thompson in a bit of trouble in the women's high jump. 3rd attempt to 188. This would be a season's best for her. She's already equalled her season's best of 184. No! Oh, my word. Took off miles from the bar. There was coming down on the arc when she went through the bar. She won't be too bothered. She looks temporarily disappointed, but Katrina has had plenty of disappointments in her career and yet risen to wonderful achievements. most notably, of course, in Doha last October when she lifted the world heptathlon title. But that one just looked rusty, and I suppose that's fair enough. A lot of these athletes in the technical disciplines will be ring rusty.
McDermott then, who's got pretty much the field to herself here. First attempt at 191. Oh, that's nice, that's tidy. She is an athlete in form. I mentioned that she'd equalled her personal best of 196 in Canberra. That was back in February in the Australian summer. She jumped 193 in Stockholm last time out. That was 6th place. She is an athlete in form and enjoying herself.
It's a little while since the Australians have had a real world-class high jumper, isn't it? Commonwealth bronze medalist McDermott, they're looking really good at 1.91 m. A perfect card for her so far.
A 1/6 of the hour gone into the 11th minute, and Mo Farah with that long, rangy style that we've become to recognise so much with his great friend and training partner Bashir Abdi, who shared a press conference yesterday together. They clearly got on very, very well indeed. A lot of deference I felt from Abdi towards Mo Farah. They said the plan was really to get to the 30-minute mark, Tim, and then see how they felt. And if one of them felt they were feeling good enough to push on, then fine. They didn't really mind who it was, which of them it was, but they thought the first milestone really was the 30-minute mark, and then getting to the second hour or the second half of the race and see how they feel.
No, exactly right. And I think you've got to take this like any other distance race. If you're struggling at halfway, then you're in real trouble. So 4,000 metres, there are 2:49, 11:15 at 4,000. So, the first really significant split, I suppose, will be 5 kilometres. But
so Farah just ahead of Abdi. They've chosen their favourite tunes as well for the evening. We'll talk through one or two of those. Tim and I had even heard of some of them, which is saying something. But the organisers have done a terrific job through technology and thinking creatively of how to replicate the atmosphere, which, as we mentioned earlier on, normally this stadium would be absolutely rocking with 40,000-50,000 people at this time of year hosting the Diamond League final.
So Stecki then third and final attempt at 5:70. It's already set that pretty impressive season's best of 5:60 as the Italian. In trouble though now. Is this one height beyond him? Yes, it is. Third and final attempt. Out he goes. Thiago Braz, by the way, the Olympic champion, failing 3 times at 5:50. His opening height, although he looked pretty good the other night in Lausanne, didn't he? Van der Pleitzen beats him because he came in at an earlier height and actually cleared 5:25 and 5:40. Stecki there, well, will finish in 4th place. He's made it hard work for himself. His card, 3 attempts at 5:50, 3 attempts at 5:60, and a 3rd time failure there at 5:70.
Chris Nielsen once again in trouble here, this time at 5:70. Needed 3 attempts to get over just 5:40. Very modest by his standards. He was talking about in the next 12 months thinking about the possibility of a 6-metre vault, and he's a long way from that at the moment. 3rd attempt at 5:70. Oh no, no. Well, it's been a busy old week for the American. I think he's enjoying himself, his first real trip to Europe, taking in lots of travelling and seeing lots of different sights. He's mainly been competing in the States.
No change then in this little stream of athletes pushing around with 13.5 minutes on the clock. Mo Farah looking quite comfortable there in 4th place. Bashir Abdi back in 6th in that white vest and the red shorts. And I guess once you slot in behind somebody and you're focused on the back of their shirt in this sort of race with a quarter of the distance done, quarter of the time approaching, you've really just got to try and switch off. I know Brendan Foster, some viewers may have heard me say this before, in 10,000 metre races he said, I just used to try and get to 20 laps of the 25 and then I would think about racing, but just get those 20 laps out of the way. Well, in this one, I think you mentioned earlier, Chris, that Mo said that he needs to get to halfway and then assess things, and you've got to be comfortable at halfway, but he'd hope to be relaxed well into that 3rd quarter of the race before he has to start working.
Yeah, and they both look pretty relaxed. He's just moving wide to go past one of the pacemakers. We've had one of the pacers has done their job and dropped out, and Bashir Abdi, who became a father actually in June this year. And they've both been talking about how they were occupying themselves during COVID. They were both in Ethiopia actually at the start of the year. There is one of the pacemakers whose job is done a good job actually. And unlike the women actually, they are pretty much sticking to Haile's pace in these relatively early stages, whereas the women, of course, at this stage were way out in front of the world record. So you can see the green wave light, as it's called, its technology, with the managing director actually of the company is Bram Sum, who many of you will know, of course, from his 800-meter running days, and became a regular pacemaker on the circuit in the last few years. He's very heavily involved in this wave light technology, and it just brings another dimension, doesn't it, to track and field. People can see it visually very easily. And there you can see.
Well, this women's high jump once more. And oh no. Third attempt for Skoog. She cleared 188 at the third time of asking, and the height of 191 just beyond her on this occasion. She finishes behind her compatriot Erica Kinsey, who cleared the previous height 188 at the second time of asking, so beats her compatriot on countback. McDermott, of course, in the lead in wonderful form. Here's Kinsey, though. No, that's her third attempt. 191 too. She'll be frustrated with that, Kinsey. They do like it to be a little bit warmer.
There's Choquette, one of the field, who's found it a little bit tough here. They're only a quarter of a way in, just over a quarter. There you can see again, if you're just joining us, the animated figure of Haile Gebrselassie. That's the world record pace that they're aiming for. Of course, goes without saying, the athletes themselves can't see that, but what they can see is the green light just behind them, and it's almost licking symbolically at the heels of Mo Farah and Bashir Abdi. They're bang on pace. Just behind them, they're just ahead of world record pace. And it'll be interesting to see, Tim, at what point they lose all the pacemakers. They've got one left, and at what point they're on their own.
Well, it will be interesting, but I thought they might be a little bit up on world record tempo by now. Their last four laps have been 67.5, 68.2, which is quite a lot too slow, 67.8 and 67.3. Haile's average lap time, remember, when he set the world record, was 67.65, 67.6, let's call it. Forget about the hundreds. So they need to be hitting those sort of marks, at least averaging something slightly quicker than that. And I would have said they're a tiny bit behind where they'd like to have been at the moment. No need to panic, but I think Mo Farah might be speaking to the pacemaker in front of him if we get another 3 or 4 laps that are not giving him a little bit of a cushion.
So approaching 18 minutes, Mo Farah looking very comfortable indeed. We're going to keep a very close eye on all these splits and the lap counter as well. You can see there 16 laps completed, and remember, Haile Gebrselassie completed 52.5.
So Broders then has cleared 570. Now the bar at 580 for the Belgian. Oh, so close again. He looks kind of angry, doesn't he? But he's keeping a cap on it. Try and channel that energy for the next effort.
Duplantis then with a perfect card so far. 550 first attempt. Of course, it goes without saying. Passed at 560. First attempt at 570 was successful, and here he is at 580. Yeah, it's just, he can do it in his sleep. He's in such a rich vein of form. Just adjusting the plaster on his knee there.
I got the impression there, Chris, that he just did just enough. It wasn't an extravagant vault. Well, then that shot, it looks like he went over it by a big margin, but I thought he did just enough there. I don't know what that is on his left, top of his left calf, there beside his knee. Whether it's a cut or a bite or what, but it seems to be a bit of discomfort. Back to this, and Mo Farah, I suspect, may have to break out on his own sooner than he would have liked. Only 19.5 minutes on the clock.
I just get the impression, you may disagree, Tim, that Mo Farah knows exactly where he is, and he's doing just enough to stay just ahead of world record pace without expending unnecessary energy, and that actually he's got something in reserve for the latter stages when it really, really counts, and that maybe he's got an extra gear that he's going to find, or maybe several gears in the latter stages.
Well, he is the coolest of customers when it comes to a racing brain, isn't he, Mo Farah? I've seen so many of his races over the years, all over the world, where he languishes at the back of the field in a 5,000 or 10,000 metres, and then gradually works his way up in the third quarter of the race to challenge for the lead in the last few laps, and then pushes to the lead at the bell, or maybe a couple of laps out and just winds it up. And his tactics in the track races of 5,000 and 10,000 metres make him very, very hard to beat, because he goes out to the front from a couple of laps before the finish and then keeps accelerating. So you've got to make a double kick. You've got to not only accelerate past somebody to get past Mo Farah, but increase the pace that he is increasing. This is a different ball game altogether.
McDermott then, 194, the bar. She's out on her own at the moment. Oh, she was almost there. She had the height. Just brought the bar down with the back of the calves on the way down.
Third and final attempt at 580 then for Ben Broders. Neither of those previous attempts were successful. Oh, and that one's the worst of the lot, I'm afraid. His first attempt actually was pretty useful. He's seen Duplantis go clear. Now Duplantis in a familiar position has the stage to himself. Perfect clearances at 550, 570, 580 for the world record holder.
So 1/3 of this 1 hour race has been completed, and there you can see the animated figure of Haile Gebrselassie just to the right of Mo Farah. He won't know that, of course, but he knows exactly where he is, and he's just behind world record pace, but I don't think he's panicking at all at the moment. And Bashir Abdi there just tracking his good friend and training partner in the white and red, going for at least the Belgian record. That record held by Gaston Roelants, as we mentioned, was 20.784 kilometres. That was set in this very stadium way back in 1972. So some of the great names that have been associated with this little run event, they span history beautifully. And just to remind you that were one of these two, and it's likely to be Mo Farah, although we shouldn't write off Abdi, were he to do it this evening, he would be only the 12th man to officially hold the world record for the 1 hour event.
When they come down through the line this time, it'll be the 8 kilometre point. That is within a very, very small few inches, 5 miles. And look at the time on the clock. Come through there now, 22:33, a 2:49 kilometre. So pretty even pace so far.
2:49, it's metronomic. I mentioned the music. They were asked to request some favourite songs, both Abdi and Mo Farah, to help them on their way in the stadium. We've got a special DJ Jonas is here doing the honours. So we've got some Black Eyed Peas, some Eminem and Dizzy Rascal, that sort of stuff, which they use on their training camps, and they've been, as we said, up in Font-Romeu in the Pyrenees. So familiarity is what they've been looking for. Just make things as familiar as possible. And of course, the altitude there will be the main difference between the King Baudouin Stadium here in Brussels and the conditions as well, I guess, Tim. It's a fairly warm, balmy evening here in Brussels, and they'll have had a few chillier evenings, I guess, up in the mountains.
That sort of music to your taste, is it, Chris?
I have to say not, being honest.
Haile's getting ahead of them here. Now, Haile Gebrselassie had one or two tunes he liked. He liked the dance tune from Scatman a few years back when he was setting his world records, and the music would have been booming around the stadium. I'm a little surprised that there isn't more audible music around the arena for Mo and his competitors in this one. Now, Duplantis cleared 580 first time, as with the previous two heights, and then 6 metres. Remember 607 a couple of nights ago in Lausanne, and 6 metres here tonight. He is a young man who is making 6 metres look like a very, very simple base level for his competitions. He says he feels the pressure of expectation that people wanted to set a world record every time he vaults, but there is an expectation that he hits 6 meters at least every time he vaults now, and that seems to be something he's not troubled by.
Mo Farah then tucking in behind the pacemaker, and his next race will be in Northern Ireland, in Country Antrim. He's going to do a half marathon there. Then he'll be a pacemaker for the London Marathon, which will look like most events this year, for obvious reasons, will look very, very different on the 4th of October. But Mo Farah, with that long association that he has with the London Marathon, has agreed to be one of the pacemakers there, helping out in what will be a biosphere bubble around the centre of London, taking in all the main sites on a loop of around a mile and a half, rather than the normal 26.2 mile course. So quite a busy autumn actually for Mo Farah. But he was saying, Tim, when the idea of doing this event was put to him and Abdi some months ago, they absolutely leapt at it without any hesitation at all. They thought it was a perfect thing to do, and of course the added incentive is a possible world record. He did break a world record indoors, the 2 mile indoor record held by Kenenisa Bekele back in 2015. Again, that's a little run distance, isn't it? So he has had a world record to his name on his CV, but never outdoors.
No, he hasn't, but you know what? He's got all those gold medals, and those are his forever, and they say world records are borrowed. They will always be improved upon, and if somebody said to you, what would you like to finish a career with a bag full of little certificates that represent world records at the time, but actually you're an ex-world record holder on multiple occasions, or a bag full of gold medals which are yours forever and will remain that way for perpetuity, which would you prefer? Boy, oh boy, I mean, it's no contest for me. So, yeah, Mo is a racer supreme, and I wouldn't write him off even for the 10,000 metres in Tokyo next year, even though he'll be racing against people who are virtually young enough to be his sons. Yeah. But he has this ability to get it right in races again and again. And I think it would actually help here if he ends up in a racing situation in the latter stages. I hope Abdi can challenge him, a bit like in that women's race between Sifan Hassan and Bridget Kosgei. That was a real battle that took Sifan Hassan to that new world record.
Yes, and we made the point in the 1500 metres. It was exactly the opposite, wasn't it? No Timothy Cheruiyot to pull Jakob Ingebrigtsen around. We're approaching the half-hour mark, and we'll bring you highly split at half an hour when we come back shortly. We'll dip into some more field events for you, but approaching half hour, and Mo Farah still looking pretty good.
Duplantis then going for a new world record outdoors. He's already got the meeting record of 6 meters. The world record of Bubka outdoors is 6:14, although they've been combined now, and Duplantis has the world record overall of 6:17 from last year, but not 6 meters 15 just yet. It'll come, there's no doubt about that.
Will it come for Nicola McDermott here? Final attempt at 194. No, she's had some good sighters there at that height, but not to be. And that's her evening done. Pretty good card until 194. That was the height that found her out. But she's having a terrific season. We've enjoyed Mauchik and Levchenko, of course, the 2 Ukrainian teammates, and we're hoping to see Maria Lasitskeni back in this event in 2021. But McDermott enjoying herself in their absence in the high jump.
Well, 2:49 for that last kilometre, and that's exactly what sort of split they need. 2:49 per kilometre. If they do 67 seconds per lap, it's 2:47.5 per kilometre. So they're running at around 67.5, 67.6 per lap. And you'll remember I said Ali Gebrselasie's pace was 67.6 per lap average. And that's why when we get the wide shots, we can see the superimposed, computerized figure of Ali Gebrselassie at his world record tempo, right up alongside this trio.
We're approaching half an hour, just over a minute to go then to the halfway mark in this 60-minute race, this 1-hour race. And I can tell you that Haile Gebrselassie, when he reached 30 minutes, when he set the world record, he had covered 10.65 kilometres. So we should be able to bring you a comparison halfway through. A little bit of encouragement there from one of the other runners who's being lapped. But again, Haile is just ahead, isn't he? 10.4 kilometres with 30 seconds to go.
Well, that last lap was 67.66. We're coming up towards the half hour, Chris, and Haile Gebrselassie lap times were 67.65. So they are. It's no wonder that the ghost of Haile Gebrselassie almost is shadowing them here, almost stride for stride, because they are matching his pace almost to the 100th of a second in some of these laps.
Which again suggests to me that they know exactly what they're doing, that they don't want to expend too much energy. Get into the final quarter of the race with 10-15 minutes to go, and then start winding it up, then start putting some distance between themselves and the mark held by Haile. I wonder where he is, by the way, and if he's watching tonight.
I'll tell you what, Haile Gebrselassie got to 10k in his world record attempt in 28:11.24. Sorry, his attempt when he set the world record for 1 hour, 28:11.2. They've just gone through a 10,000 in 28:12. So this is why they're pretty much stride for stride.
10.64 is the distance covered after 30 minutes, and that is exactly 10 metres, Tim, 10 metres short of the record held by Haile Gebrselassie. They're basically 10 metres off the pace after half an hour. That is not insurmountable.
Absolutely not, no. And we know Mo Farah can wind things up very impressively. That last lap, 67.64. They are dotting like arrows on a bullseye target around the lap times of Haile Gebrselassie. It's within a few hundredths of a second. It's like missing the bull by a millimetre with each arrow. 249.37, again, almost spot on. So the pacemakers, I think, have done a pretty good job. I said earlier, maybe they've gone out a little too slow. I think they're getting it right here, because I think Mo is looking pretty comfortable.
He is indeed. That familiar gait and the cadence is looking pretty good as well. And he'll be secretly hoping that Abdi can keep him company for as long as he can. And once they get to 45 minutes and they've got 15 minutes to go, then they can start seeing how they feel. So they are, in Mo Farah's words, into that second half of the race. And how do they feel? Well, they look. We don't know how they feel, but of course, they look pretty comfortable to me.
28 laps gone. This is the 29th lap that they're on at the moment. Mo Farah on record as saying that it's been a very difficult year, this year of COVID-19 limitations. He said, I've got 4 kids that they couldn't go to school, there was no routine, and of course distance runners and elite athletes generally, elite sportsmen, thrive on a routine. They need to be able to lock into that rhythm of a daily routine that enables them to get the hard training and preparation done. He said it's been very challenging because of that, but I suspect after being up at Font-Romeu for 42 or 43 days in that rarefied air, he's come down to sea level now in Brussels, and the thick oxygen air is making him feel very good indeed. He said one of his determined points to enjoy this run tonight.
Second attempt then for Duplantis at 6:15. This would be an outdoor world record. No, not at all. I wonder if that all the exhilaration of Lausanne is maybe starting to catch up, because that was intoxicating earlier in the week. 6:07, just to remind you that he jumped in a thrilling jump off with Sam Kendricks in a very different environment with a good crowd. There the other pole vaulters, Van der Pletsen there, centre of picture looking on.
One attempt left. You've got to remember, he's not a machine. He's a young man with all the normal frailties and elements of mortality that so many of us are very familiar with. He's not Superman. He just pretends he is occasionally. Gives the impression he is. There's his dad, Greg Duplantis. Back to Mo Farah. By the way, some news has just come through. Brigid Kosgei has been disqualified from second place in that women's 1 hour run, because I think she stepped off the track at one point, and that seems incredibly harsh. I mean, just so lacking in empathy with the physical challenge that she overcame so splendidly. Brigid Kosgei, the world record holder in the marathon, finished second to Sifan Hassan tonight, we thought, but has been disqualified, and that for stepping on the infield halfway through the race, or in the latter stages of the race. Actually, I said it indicated a degree of fatigue creeping into her running, but I think there must be a degree of fatigue creeping into the minds of some of the officials making these decisions, because that just seems so unnecessarily harsh. I mean, for a start, I'm not sure it was on a bend, so there was no... How much advantage is she getting? Goodness me, the girl's running 21 kilometres, 20 kilometres, or 18 and a half kilometres, whatever it was. She's gained... Lady has gained half an inch or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
it feels harsh.
Pitiful.
It feels harsh to me.
I'll tell you what, her foot wasn't right on the line at the start, so doesn't that balance it out?
I'm sure I saw Hassan herself also just nudge the infield as well at one point, so she may feel very hard done by. That's a cruel way to end an evening for Bridget Kosgei, but she did provide a thrilling finish. And what sort of finish are we going to have here in the men's equivalent? There you can see, just to remind you, the wave light just snapping at the heels of Bashir Abdi. And it's just down to these two, as we knew it would be. 25 minutes of running left. How far can they go? How close to that world record? Can they beat the world record held by Haile Gebrselassie since 2007?
191 then for McDermott. This was the winning jump in the women's high jump, beating Erica Kinsey and Skoog, the Swedish pairing, into second and third. She wins by a clear height too. That's always more satisfying for the vertical jumpers. 1.91 meter, a first-time clearance. She was perfect over her first three heights. And Kinsey and Skoog second and third. Claire Rossel of Belgium taking third with 1.84. Katarina Johnson-Thompson, well, she equalled her season's best with 1.84 meter, the world heptathlon champion. But a really good night for the Australian Nicola McDermott. And looks like she's got a few of her competitors to sign her a book there, an autograph book, or a tour autograph book, call it what you like. She's not a face or a name I'm that familiar with, but we'll be looking out for her because she's the tender age of 23 is McDermott. Big performances to come, I'm sure.
I'll be just getting the impression that Haile Gebrselassie record is starting to, I wouldn't say slip away, but that gap between where Haile was at this stage is starting to grow. And Mo Farah will be well aware of that. Bashir Abdi hanging on to his coattails. He looks so relaxed.
Well, he's sweating up, isn't he, Mo? 36 minutes on the clock now. He's got over 23 minutes of running to go. That is a long way. He's got over 5 miles of running to come. Over 8 kilometres of running to come. That would suggest he needs to step it up. And of course we can see that virtual Haile Gebrselassie to left of picture. He can't. He'll be getting some information from the sidelines, but it won't be quite as palpable as that yellow-vested Gebrselassie lookalike.
We just saw bottom right of picture the last kilometre, 2:54, and that has gone down. He's been metronomic in 2:49 all race so far. 2:54, and that is worrying.
It is worrying. Mo Farah maybe needs some help here from Bashir Abdi. Will his training partner want to go round him, or will he be looking for victory and hoping that he's found Mo Farah on a weekday? He has said yesterday that he knows from training day after day with the Olympic 10,000 meter champion that Mo Farah is stronger than him, and he doesn't expect to win tonight. He expects to be beaten, but maybe a bit of gamesmanship in that statement. Maybe he's just going to sit in there and let Mo run himself into the ground here. Perhaps that's his thinking, at least.
He looks strong though, doesn't he, Mo Farah? Just for me, just looks as though he's extended that wonderful natural long stride, a stride that actually on the track 1 or 2 times caused him to be tripped, remember, often in very awkward moments of big races. That long raking stride. But just the first signs then perhaps of how tough this world record is for Mo Farah and Bashir Abdi.
Beautiful stadium, Bodouin Stadium. Can this young man use an even more beautiful performance? He's already cleared 6 meters, a meeting record. Mondo Duplantis, third and final attempt at a world record outdoors of 6:15. No, not to beat. 6:07 in Lausanne 2 or 3 nights back. Maybe that could have been achieved again here tonight, but he's shot for the stars, hasn't he? Almost literally, with that dark night sky above the Belgian capital. And it will have to wait for another night, another meeting somewhere else. 2 or 3 more opportunities this season, I think, for Duplantis. I think he's vaulting in Ostrava next week. So it may yet come this year. It will certainly come. People have been talking about what is this young man capable of. Now he's jumped 6:17. I said a couple of years ago when I saw him vaulting big winning titles and producing astonishing performances at the age of 17, that I think this young man can take the event not only to new world record heights, but into a different era altogether, different stratosphere. I think he's capable of something like 6:35 eventually.
Wow.
Which is, and I heard Tony Minicello the other night saying 6:20, something like that, 6:25. I think this lad, you look at him, he's frail, he's not even built up yet. When all his potential is unleashed in 3 or 4 years' time, he's going to go so much higher than 6:20.
Meeting record though at 6 meters exactly. He's jumping 6 meters for fun now and making that look very, very ordinary. 6:18, of course, is world record indoors, set in Glasgow back in February. So another victory there for Mondo Duplantis from Broders, a long way back, 30 centimeters down in second place. Chris Nielsen will be a little bit disappointed, I think, with his 5:60. And Thiago Braz, well, it seems a long time ago since he was winning that Olympic title in Rio. Now then, the stage is here and set for Mo Farah and Bashir Abdi. That is the task at hand, is to try and keep tabs with that world record pace set by Haile Gebrselassie, and it looks to be getting further and further away as we enter the final 20 minutes. 2/3 of the hour gone, Tim. And are we right to be a little bit concerned here?
Well, I think we are. 67.9. He's been languishing behind the Gebrselassie virtual runner for lap after lap now. Now, he's not running out of time. He's got, what, 19 minutes in which to make up the deficit. But Mo Farah is getting indications from the sidelines, I'm sure, and has been for quite a few laps, that he needs to pick it up a little bit, and he won't want to be too far behind. He's probably been told that he's a second, maybe a couple of seconds behind world record schedule, which is not an insurmountable gap, certainly far from it. But if it grows to 4, 5, 7, 8 seconds, then the writing is on the wall. So Mo now needs to dig deep. I know his coach Gary Locke will be watching this, has been up in the Pyrenees with him these last few weeks.
On his bike, actually.
Mo would have banged out loads and loads of really good sessions with Bashir Abdi and built up the confidence and the mental confidence and aggression to get it right here tonight. But this is a critical point, Chris. I sense that in this next 5 minutes the record will be broken, or Mo Farah's ambitions will be broken.
Yeah, just the last sight of the superimposed image of Haile suggested that they maybe have just clawed back a little bit of that gap. And just the cadence for me is just picking up a little bit. And Mo Farah with just over 15 minutes of running left, at which point he'll enter the final quarter of this 1 hour. All those gold medals we talked about, 4 Olympic golds, 6 world titles, British record holder at all distances from 1,500 metres right through to the marathon. And there we are, he's within touching distance of a first world record outdoors. It's all getting a little bit much for some of the other runners in this race who are way, way back. They've been lapped several times. And look at that, Tim. I think the message has got through. Mo Farah has clawed that deficit back and is now starting to put himself back on world record pace.
Yeah, he was... last time we saw him coming down the home straight, he was definitely working hard, and I got the impression Bashir Abdi was struggling to hold it. He's only a metre down now. There was a couple of metres half a lap ago. Bushiki working hard to produce something special for him. Maybe a national record. And of course, so often in these long races, Bushiki was in trouble. That's why we're seeing him striding out. Maybe a bit of cramp creeping in. Those don't look like spikes. And one concern that has been mentioned by, I think it was Bashir Abdi, the man shadowing Mo Farah, is that this is a very hard track, and he was concerned about that when he had to run in spikes. Most of these athletes would prefer to run in road racing shoes, which are not like big heavy training shoes. They're much thinner soles, but there is considerably more cushioning and protection from those shoes. And of course that is what Haile Gebrselassie was able to enjoy when he set the current world record as road racing shoes. These guys aren't allowed to do that. So you could say that ironically, in these days when the shoes have improved and enabled athletes to run personal bests, partly because of the biomechanical aid of the shoes, ironically Gebre Selassie set the world record all those years ago, Chris, in shoes that are now not permitted.
Absolutely right.
You couldn't make it up.
No, you couldn't. You know, there's a delicious irony in that. And of course, just to remind you, there's the change in the thickness of the sole as well. Only 25 millimeters now allowed. And it's worth pointing out that Sondre Møen, the Norwegian, was due to also be in this race, and he thought he'd broken the European record for the hour in Norway back in August, but that was not ratified because of the shoes he was wearing. And he admitted that actually wearing shoes that are permitted, so the spikes that these two runners are wearing, caused him such pain that he decided not to take part this evening. And these two are now right back on world record pace, just snapping at the heels at the virtual Haile Gebre Selassie, who'll be watching on, I'm sure, from Addis. And if you are Haile, a very good evening to you.
Yeah, Haile Gebre Selassie, I suspect, will be watching this one. Would have been lovely to see him trackside, wouldn't it? But not too many people travelling. There's Jos Hermans, the manager of Haile Gebre Selassie all those years ago, ironically, the man who has brought wave-like technology very much to the forefront of major distance races in the big high-profile track races, and it may yet take distance running into a new era with that assistance from those lights. I don't think it's the finished product myself. I'd like to see the lights raised a few inches above ground level so that they're more apparent to everybody in the stadium.
Yep. But it's a very, very good guide. And now they are very much back on world record pace, and that was a really good, clever little slow injection of pace. The message obviously got through. He was using the wave-like technology, but he was also getting message, you could tell, from the side, and he's put himself right back. It was only a matter of what, 2 or 3 seconds, wasn't it, Tim? But we were getting worried. 66,
yeah,
the last lap.
I'll tell you what, that's the first time in either race tonight that we've seen Jos Hermans step out onto the track and start yelling at Mo, and he wants to see this record broken tonight, much as he has a great relationship with Haile Gebre Selassie. He wants to see distance running taken forwards era after era, year after year, and Haile Gebre Selassie's record might yet be under threat because Jos Hermans yelling at Mo Farah, and Mo Farah puts in the fastest lap of the race there with that 66.9. He's really stepped it up, and look at the stiffness in the running of Bashir Abdi there to the left of picture. He just doesn't look as relaxed, does he? He's up on his toes, admittedly, but he's working for it, and Gebre Selassie is back in third place.
Back in third place, virtually. We have to put inverted commas around that, but I know exactly what you mean. Less than 13 minutes of running to go, and Farah with that brilliant racing brain. Yes, he's a brilliant physical specimen, but his racing brain is second to none. He knows exactly what he's doing, and now they've turned a 2 or 3 second deficit into a second or two advantage in the space of, what, 5 or 10 minutes. It's brilliant racing here from Mo Farah.
And it is racing. Jos yells him on. Jos Hermans, remember, who still has the European record. 20,944 metres he ran back in 1976, so he's encouraging Mo Farah here and Bashir Abdi, who we mustn't forget runs for Belgium, to break his own record, and I think they will by a goodly margin. But will they get that world record? 2:47 for that last kilometre. Now, their last few kilometres have been coming out at 2:49, so he's cranked it up as Mo Farah there. Bashir Abdi, to his credit, matching him stride for stride, but Farah has now got his eyes on the goal. 12 minutes to run, and I think Mo sort of feels psychologically he's gone through the bell in a 5,000 metres now, and he can get his head down and start pushing on. He will continue to widen it up, and keep watching that bottom right-hand corner of your screen. We'll see these splits, I suspect, get quicker. 2:49s for the last 20 minutes or so, then at 2:47. There's a 67.3. That is inside Gebre Selassie pace. So, Chris, I think Mo, yet again, looks to be judging this to perfection. I was worried for a few minutes, but I'm less so now.
Yeah, I think the only man who's worried now is Haile Gebre Selassie, but he said he really hoped, genuinely, that Mo Farah breaks his world record this evening. And as things stand, as we can see there, he has got an advantage, but at what point does he decide, actually, the world record is there, I've got it in the bag, and then I can push on and maybe try and put the world record out of sight and really add some serious distance to the record so that whoever comes along behind him has a really, really tough act to follow.
I tell you what, Bashir Abdi's not done yet, is he? I mean, he looks a lot stiffer in the shoulders. I mean, Mo has got this lovely, relaxed, loping stride, whether it's a 1,500, 5,000, 10,000 or a marathon. And you can see it again here. It's an unmistakably unique stride he's got. But Bashir Abdi, while he's not as comfortable looking, not as aesthetically pleasing as Mo Farah, the way he covers the ground, he's just hanging in there. And of course, you could argue he's got the perfect pacemaker. 66.9 for Mo Farah there. He is still turning that crank up little by little, lap by lap.
All those hours of training up at altitude in Font-Romeu, before that in Ethiopia, but going round the track, it is, for most people, it would be mind-numbingly boring. How on earth do you keep your mind attuned, or at least blank your mind out and stop thinking about how much it hurts? But Mo Farah is a past master at this and is just churning out lap after lap after lap, metronomically. I mean, we talk about Swiss timing and how accurate they are, but if you had lost your watch and you wanted to get some help from somebody in the world to say what time is it or what do I need to do, just make a phone call to Mo Farah. His sense of timing is absolutely spot on. Into the last 10 minutes of this 1 hour race, and there we are with what, about a 10-metre gap, a 10-metre lead now over the world record held by Haile Gebrselassie. And remember, at the half-hour stage, they were exactly 10 metres behind.
Well, 2:48 for that last kilometre for Mo Farah, and he's been producing a lot of 2:49s. I think the previous one there was a 2:47, so he has cranked it up. He's just clawed back 3 or 4 seconds in the last couple of kilometres, I should say. And if you look at the splits too, it is beginning to get quicker. 5:39 for the 2 kilometre segments between 8k and 6k and 8k, and then a 5:38, and then a 5:39, another 5:39, and this one through to 18k will undoubtedly be quicker.
This is a crucial period of the race again. Once he gets psychologically into the last 5 minutes, then he knows he can start thinking about a final flourish. And how many times have we seen Mo Farah move through the gears? He always seems to find not just one, but maybe 2 or even 3 gears, particularly in those heady days in the 10,000 metres. And, well, it would be great for athletics if we saw him back on the track in the 10,000 metres in Tokyo next summer. The event has moved on, but not by that much. Another 67.5 second lap. Approaching 18.5 kilometres. Remember, the target that they're aiming for is not a time target, it's a distance target of 21.285 kilometres, held by Gebrselassie. Bushiki's race is done. He's really feeling it.
Well, 46 laps done, Chris. They're on the 47th lap here. Mo Farah, that brow is furrowed. He's working hard here. And I'll tell you what, Bashir Abdi behind him looks a little bit more relaxed facially, doesn't he? I suppose he has got the pacemaking of Mo Farah to latch onto. That's all he's got to think about. All he's got to do is keep focused on the back of Mo Farah's vest and hang in there as if being tugged along, being pulled along. Mo Farah is working hard here now. He's gradually increasing the tempo, and that takes a lot of effort. When you've got 45 minutes of running plus behind you, it's going to hurt.
And if these two are in this position, Tim, with a minute to go, surely you would have only one person to back.
Well, absolutely right, but never say never, so to speak. Bashir Abdi is a faster marathon runner than Mo Farah by some margin. He's a 2:05 marathon runner, is Mo Farah. Bashir Abdi has run 2:04. That was in Tokyo earlier on this year, just before COVID lockdown changed the world for all of us. So he's got enormous strength as the man to the left, and this is becoming a test of strength as much as anything else.
It is indeed. Mo Farah then just starting to look as though he's having to work a little bit harder than he was before. Bushiki's race is finally done. We've had a couple of false storms with him. He's obviously got some severe cramp. 2:48 that last kilometre, so they're very much within world record pace. 19 kilometres completed. We're approaching the half marathon distance, but they'll want to go beyond that as well. A reminder, 21.285 kilometres is the target. They still have a little cushion there. You can see Haile Gebrselassie effectively in 3rd place, even though he's not even in the stadium. But that graphic has been very, very useful indeed, both for us as commentators and for people watching at home. Just over 5 minutes to go. 67 again, another lap, maybe a little bit slower than the last one. but he has got a bit of a cushion.
By the way, the 10-mile point, of course, was just after 16 kilometres, even though they've now gone through 18 kilometres, and they went through 16k in 45:07. You add about another 20 seconds to that to get to 10 miles. So 45:25, something like that at 10 miles, Mo Farah here. And he's done a lot of the work in the second half himself. So Mo Farah here has already got some very impressive splits behind him. 20k split coming up. That could be a new European record on the way, I suspect, for Mo Farah. But at the moment, he's got a race on his hands.
Yes, he has. This is really bubbling nicely, coming to a boil. Are we going to see some fireworks in the next 5 minutes? Approaching exactly 5 minutes to go in this extraordinary feat of endurance, and Abdi is still there, clinging to him like a limpet. He knows exactly where it is, but this is all about the clock. Into the last 5 minutes, and here goes Abdi. Now then, is this a change in tactic? Abdi's taking it on here, and has he sensed that Mo Farah is flagging, or is he just trying to inject some pace into the race?
I think that's exactly right. I think maybe Abdi sensed that Mo was struggling. He was probably treading water a little bit himself, almost clipping the heels of Mo Farah. He certainly, about 6 or 8 laps ago, looked like he was struggling, but he's strong. And here he's gone past Mo Farah and is pushing on, trying to break the Olympic champion at 10,000 metres, the 4-time Olympic champion Mo Farah. I don't know about breaking a world record here tonight. He just needs to win the race, Mo Farah.
He does indeed. And as things stand, whoever does win this race will also break the world record. There you can see, right of picture, that's the gap they have. That's the cushion advantage they have over the current world record held by Gabri Selassie since 2007. Abdi has just injected a little bit. Was that just a little wake-up call to Mo Farah? Mo Farah's now looking a little bit more furrowed of brow for me. Under 4 minutes to go now. Just 3 or 4 laps of the track left. They've hit 20 kilometres exactly, approaching the half marathon distance. And Abdi just starting to build a little bit of a gap over Mo Farah. These two runners who know each other so well, great friends, training partners, they've been through all the pain together, and they're both ahead of world record schedule.
Well, 20 kilometres and 56:20 there for Bashir Abdi, a stride ahead of Mo Farah. Is the winner of this race going to be just satisfied to be the winner, or is he going to be also the man who takes over on the world record list? Because you look at the names of past holders of this world record: Paavo Nurmi, the great Jean Bouin, Emil Zatopek, Jos Hermans, of course, Gaston Rollins, Haile Gebrselassie, Ron Clark, perhaps the greatest distance runner before this ultra-modern era, and Arturo Barrios of Mexico, of course. Who will be next on that list?
Well, I think Mo Farah is not done here at all. I think he's still very much in contention here.
I suppose what you could say, Chris, sorry, is that what Abdi has done here is taken this situation into a Mo Farah comfort zone. Even though, ironically, we thought Mo was uncomfortable and he felt Mo was struggling, what he's done is turned it into a real race. He's given Mo a target, and Mo loves nothing better than to have the back of somebody's vest in front of him, a target that he can aim at, that he has to get round.
Approaching 2 minutes to go, just over 120 seconds between these two, one of these two runners, and a possible world record. Starting to really bite now. 2 minutes into the final 2 minutes of running. That'll be just under 2 laps of the track. Mo Farah with that finishing speed, of course, that he is known for over all those years, those Olympic gold medals, the world titles. This is a challenge of a completely different order. Abdi stringing him round, and maybe this is just what Gabri Selassie, there left of picture, maybe this is just what Mo Farah needed. It's going to be very, very tight indeed. The little cushion that they have is lessening. They haven't got as much of a margin. It's going to be a lights-out last minute, and it's almost as if the ghost of Gabri Selassie is coming out to haunt them. They can't see that superimposed picture. 20 seconds to the gun, and at the gun there'll be exactly a minute to go. Will there be another world record here in Brussels this evening? We've had one in the women's race to start with. Let's get ready for the gun, coming in 5 seconds time, and then it'll be lights out. Here it is, here's the gun. 60 seconds to go. The world record is on, and Mo Farah is away. Psychologically, is that the last lap of the track? He'll be able to eke out perhaps One more lap of the track, just about. 50 seconds to go, 45 seconds. Mo Farah just takes a glance up at the clock. 40 seconds left. How much further can he go? Trying to just squeeze out every last metre, every last centimetre. 30 seconds to go. Abdi is gone. Mo Farah, barring any accident, should win the race, and Mo Farah will become a world record holder. Mo Farah has 20 seconds to eke out as much as he can here in Brussels. He's an Olympic champion. He's a world champion. He's the British record holder at every distance between 1,500 metres and the marathon. And here he is, turning it on in style. 6 seconds to go. Olympic champion, world champion, and now Mo Farah is a world record holder. The gun goes, it's all over. And Mo Farah has made history here in Belgium. What a performance. He's still running. Maybe he hasn't hit the gun, but you have Mo Farah finally outdoors. For all your success, for all your medals, you are now a world record holder.
You've got to love him, haven't you, Mo? That so in the zone, so focused, he kept on running, didn't hear the gun, oblivious to what was going on around him. He just wanted to keep pounding out that penultimate lap, on effectively his last lap, 63.9, and that at the end of an hour of hard running. Brilliant stuff from Mo Farah, judged to perfection. He's broken the world record, I would estimate there, Chris, by about 10 seconds. The ghost of Gebre Selassie, the world record ghost, you could call it, which it is now, because I think unofficially the 20k world record has gone, as has on the track, as has the 1 hour world record. And Haile Gebre Selassie will be smiling and watching this.
I'm very happy to break the world record today. Me and Bashir Abdi worked together. I'm so pleased for him and for myself, and what an amazing way, you know, to do it and to show the people what is possible.
How does the body feel after 60 minutes of hard racing like this?
Yeah, I feel tired, but at the same time, in the middle of the part of the race, we have to work hard and get on the light. I wasn't sure what we were doing. We just help each other and get through it, but it's nice to break a world record.
Many congratulations. Enjoy your world record.
Thank you, everyone in Belgium. Thank you.
Well done to Mo Farah. He's barely breathing. There it is, confirmation of the distance, 21.330 kilometres. And by my maths, Tim, correct if I'm wrong, that's added 45 metres to Haile Gebre Selassie's previous world record. He was hoping it would be more. At one stage we were thinking about maybe as much as 100 metres or so, but that was the decisive moment when he made his move. And I think, you know, Tim, we sense that Bashir taking over with, what, a couple of laps to go effectively, was just the fillip that Mo Farah needed. It's almost as if to say, here you are, you need a target, and I'm your target.
No, absolutely right. Yeah, it rolled out absolutely perfectly for Mo, didn't it? 45 metres more than Haile Gebre Selassie managed all those years ago. Back in 2007. It was in June 2007, so over 13 years ago. And that is a new experience for Mo Farah, with sky above him. He set a world record indoors, but never outdoors. It is the rarely run 1 hour distance, but I'll tell you what, the validity of the record cannot be in doubt, because Haile Gebre Selassie was the previous owner of that record, and there is hardly any greater runner in history for whom one can take a world record away. Well, what an evening it's been. World records in both the 1 hour runs tonight here in Brussels, the King Baudouin Stadium. In the women's 1 hour run, a world record for Sifan Hassan, 18.930 kilometres, a new world record by a big margin for the Dutch athlete. And likewise in the men's 1 hour race, a brilliant world record from Mo Farah, 21.330 kilometres. Well done to them. Great competition in Brussels from all of us in Belgium. Good night.
But the new world record is